And welcome in to Game Day 502. It is going down. Rashawn Myers, Jerry has it here. 96.1 FM. It is going down. Jay, happy March Madness, man. Are you all right? You good over there?
I was talking to him.
You sitting in a chair and for some reason you're sweating. I don't even understand how that works. Yeah. Hey, it's show business, man. You got to have the lights for show business so they can see your pretty face. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Jay Hayes, I'm hanging out with more Shenanigans.
Yes, sir.
Here, and
4521 Bardstown Road.
We're going to talk sports tonight.
Yes.
Sports.
And more sports.
Yeah, sports.
Hey, it is March Madness. It is going crazy here. More Shenanigans. We got basketball on every TV you can find. You got the women's tournament. You got the men's tournament. You got upsets galore. Auburn goes down. The Auburn Tigers lose to Yale. You remember when Milt Wagner called, said this one of them academic schools? He talking about, I can't remember what school he was talking about when they asked him. They were like, what do you plan to do to win that game? And Milt said, well, that's just one of them academic schools. So Auburn lost to one of those academic schools. They lost to the Ivy League squad for the second year in a row. The Ivy League champion moves on in the tournament.
This 64, what is it, 68 tournament now? 68?
Field of 68, yes, sir.
This tournament has its poaches, has its moments. Whoever comes out as a dog.
Yes.
Like you said, beginning of the 68 tournament, you got to come out and play as a dog.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's going down. There's so many storylines, of course, for the University of Louisville. All the Louisville fans looking very closely at their prospective candidates. Of course, after moving on from Kenny Payne, there's so much conversation about who the next coach is going to be. Dusty May, Florida Atlantic. They go down. FAU goes down.
You know what? I have a question about him, Rashawn. I seem to be a nice guy,
yes,
and all that. But I just don't feel him.
You're not feeling Dusty May.
No, I don't think he's the right pitch right now for Louisville basketball.
Well, I tell you what, man, there's a lot of people after watching FAU go down and lose today. There are definitely some people that are questioning, is Dusty May the right guy? He didn't have his team ready to play. I would say that I honestly think that all the conversation about Dusty possibly leaving, all the conversations about the University of Louisville, I definitely think that affected his team. They didn't look focused. A lot of bad mistakes, a lot of bad decisions, uncharacteristic, they just didn't seem settled. They didn't seem settled the whole day. FAU goes down. John L. Davis, Vlad Golden, and the rest of those guys, really good team. They made it to a Final Four last year. Brought back everybody, but for whatever reason, this FAU team just could not get it together. I don't know if during the regular season, because they made the Final Four the previous year, they were bored and they were just ready to get back to the tournament, but it's very difficult when you're not playing well to just turn it on, when it's time to go into tournament play. And I think that kind of bit them in the butt. So now we'll see. When they asked Dusty May after the press conference today, about the prospects for himself coming back or the other guys on the team coming back, and he said that we're not really going to look at that right now. All I'm worried about is taking care of my guys. We're going to get back to school and kind of have exit interviews, and then everybody's going to figure out what they're going to do from there. So that was his official kind of commentary on it. There's been no hidden situations that since Louisville decided that they were going to move on from Scott Drew of Baylor, that this was the guy that they were going to put up front. Now, I will say all that to say that just because right now he's looking like he is the possible favorite, I would not say that, it may not be a done deal yet, Jay has. Like, if it feels to me like Louisville athletic director Josh Hurd is still, he's still interviewing guys. So I don't know if Dusty May has that job yet.
I don't think he has it either. I don't think he has it in the bag as well, too. And my concern is right now that the former Louisville basketball players are in the transfer portal, and they are actually leaving the program.
Yeah.
They're leaving Louisville like they haven't got a head coach yet. And I have something on my phone from a text message. From Nolan Smith and Kenny Payne in the locker room.
Oh, really?
Discussing some Yeah.
Oh, hey, you got
I shouldn't
some
have said that.
got some stuff going on. I know you
I,
got the bat phone. A lot of
I
stuff
shouldn't
comes
have
through the
said.
bat
I
phone.
shouldn't have said nothing. But anyway,
I mean, but no, honestly, Jay, I expect for all those kids, everybody who's looking at Caleb Glenn going into the transfer portal, JJ Trainer going into the transfer portal, Curtis Williams going into the transfer portal. Like, understand this is that these kids have to do their due diligence, okay? They have to put their names out there so they can make themselves officially available to be contacted by schools. Now, if you don't put your name in the transfer portal, we all understand that kids still get contacted. But to be officially able to talk to other schools, you have to be in the transfer portal. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean they're leaving Louisville. All it means is that they are open for business. So now they can talk to other schools, see what type of NIL offers out there, see what level of schools that they're being recruited by. All those things can only happen once you go into the portal. So just because JJ Trainer goes in the portal doesn't necessarily 100% guarantee he's leaving.
you know that NIL deal is really hurting college basketball. It's hurting the love for the college sports. It becomes you're making more money than the head coach at times. So,
I mean, I would honestly say the NIL has always been a part of college
I
basketball. It
understand
was
that.
just under the table. Like, to me, like when I hear about Moses Malone getting offered $300,000 in 1973 or 74,
That's a
whatever it
lot
was,
of money.
$300,000, people. So trust me when I
Moses
tell you
Malone.
that was NIL 40 years ago, 50 years ago, however long it's been now, 50
Moses
years
Malone.
ago. Okay, and Moses was getting 300 stacks. So if he was getting that
A
then,
lot of money.
come on. Come on. NIL's always been a part of the game. All that stuff about people talking about NIL's ruining basketball, honestly, that's just, they're mad because it's above board
Well,
now.
let me ask you this political question real
Yes,
quick
sir. Yes,
about
sir.
Josh Hurd. I mean, he's been doing his due diligence and trying to find a head coach job for the University of Louisville vacancy right now, and I'm not feeling him.
I mean, Josh has to get this done. I mean, honestly, he has had mixed reviews since he
Yes.
took over. I've been very critical on Wake Up 502, which of course, comes to you every Saturday morning, 96.1 FM from 9 to 11 a.m. I have been critical of Josh because I did not necessarily think that he was as visible as he should have been. I didn't think that he had really put the screws to Kenny Payne in a lot of ways, as much as I thought he would have or should have. So I think that Josh Hurd, this is going to be the hire that defines his legacy. Okay, if he goes out here and he misses, or the next coach he brings in is a failure, Hurd's going to lose his job. I mean, the goodwill that goes along with hiring Jeff Brom is only going to go so far because, Jeff Brom was a guy who was seemingly destined to come back to Louisville.
What about Mick Cronin? What do you think about him?
Mick Cronin, I mean, you know what? I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think Mick is the pick. That's not happening. Mick has been out of the postseason now for what, about 10 days, 12 days, something like that. If Mick was the guy, I think he would have been offered by now. I will say that I think that Mick would have done a fine job here. That's one of the things that I've been consistent with. Is just that I don't necessarily think that there's that many bad choices of the coaches that are being discussed. When you talk about Mick Cronin, excellent defensive coach. He's very solid. I think he's going to do a good job. If he was to become the Louisville head coach, I think he would do fine. But I think all these guys, when you talk about Dusty May, very good coach. They've even came out of the blue. I talked about it with Roman Kelly when I called him on the Mike Rutherford show yesterday and chatted with him. I was shocked to hear about Shaheen Holloway. Shaheen Holloway, of course, in his second year at Seton Hall, his alma mater, one of the best, most fiery young head coaches in college basketball right now. We, of course, remember 2 years ago when he made Louisville Fans Day, knocked off Kentucky with the Peacocks. You know what I'm saying? And Shaheen Holloway, now in his second year with Seton Hall, had a very successful second year. And honestly, if there weren't those 5 bid stealers, I think Shaheen would have gotten Seton Hall to the NCAA tournament. So I think he's another really good young head coach.
I believe it's too prestige for him. University of Louisville program.
For Shaheen,
Yes,
why is that? Why you say that?
that is a big program, Rashawn. That's as big as the Saint, Seton Hall. He's a good young coach. I give him that, Rashawn, but Louisville, 24,000 people.
I mean, honestly, most people would say that Louisville's too big a program for Dusty May. I mean, people talk about Dusty May. because I mean, they talk about the fact that he's not necessarily a guy who likes all the limelight, and he
No.
doesn't like all of the,
See, that's another problem I
you
got with
know.
him.
I mean,
What other
that's been
coach
a
out
thing.
there right now would love to take, like you said, to come crawling,
I
come
mean, hey, who
crawling.
knows? Maybe Bruce Pearl will want to come. Auburn got upset today. You know what? Let me tell y'all something. Do not underestimate the fact that a quick flame out at a place like Auburn, a non-traditional basketball power, can make people change their mind. And when they see the amount of money that they were willing to pay, Scott Drew to come here, like Bruce Pearl, I think Bruce Pearl, that 8.5 million per would be on the table for Bruce Pearl if he wanted to take the Louisville job. So I'm not saying I'm not reporting anything. All I'm saying is that I would not be surprised if a coach the level of a Bruce Pearl didn't take a second look at it and say, you know what, maybe I've done everything I can at Auburn. I came in, they kind of had an underachieving year based on what they wanted to do. Then they get hot, they make a run, they win the SEC tournament, they have all this momentum, and they flame out in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Like, I personally think that can, make people reevaluate things. When big time head coaches like that have those early, those early flame outs, they can think, how far can I win a championship at Auburn? Auburn's never won a national championship. Louisville has 3. Louisville's a national championship program. And I think that you have to at least consider and look at that as a possibility, that you can go out there and have an opportunity to win championships at Louisville. Can you do that at Auburn? Can you do that again at Baylor? Is that something you can do at UCLA in 2023-24? UCLA hasn't won a championship since the mid-'90s. That was one championship, and before that, it had been the '60s.
I like a 30-year-old Bob Huggins right now. I can take him.
Well, unfortunately, Bob Huggins is closer to 70 instead of 30. So Huggy Bear is not walking through that door, and if he did walk through the door, he'd probably be stumbling.
He beat us at Freddie, won't he?
Yeah. So I don't know if Huggy Bear would be the man. I mean, but like honestly, somebody like that's got a lot of grit, that's got a lot of fight, is not afraid of the spotlight. Let me ask you this, because I heard some people joking about it, and I know that this is something that Louisville fans don't want to hear. Let's say a coach that the fan base has become disgruntled with. Let's say they just happen to lose to a team called the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. Would you take John Calipari at the University of Louisville?
No, I wouldn't.
You would not take him. So if Coach Cal hit up Josh Hurd, was like, Josh, these Kentucky fans are crazy. I can't take it anymore. I want to bring the Calipari show to Louisville. You're saying no?
That's not going to happen.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm asking, would you want him if
No.
Calipari wanted to come?
No. I would want Calipari about 6 years ago, 5.5, down about 10 years ago. I would love to have him then. But right now,
You don't want to see Dillingham and all them guys coming to look. You don't want to see Dillingham coming to.
I would love to see these guys, man. But I'm here. Let me ask you this question.
Okay, all right.
Of all the scrutiny going on with college basketball, you see Rick Pitino.
Yes.
St. John's.
Yes.
Didn't make the tournament.
Yeah.
Because of his son.
He just like Seton Hall.
Would you, if you had the motion, to have the audacity to look at Rick Pitino, would you give him another chance, or would you just like, I'll write him off?
I mean, I love Coach P, and Louisville's in a situation where you need somebody that is not going to fail. Like, I'm not on the train of my coach has to be a dude who's young so he stays 20 years. Like, to me, Louisville's in a position where you need somebody that can win. Even if they, like Rick probably has 5 or 6 good years left in him. If we get 5 or 6 good years out of Rick Pitino, I'd take him in a heartbeat. I would take Kelvin Sampson. A lot of people say, Kelvin Sampson's like 68 years old. He's probably only got 5 or 6 good years left. I'm telling you, I would take 6 years of Kelvin Sampson, because I know that he's going to get Louisville back on track. Understand that Louisville's only won, 12 games the last 2 years? We need a coach that's going to come in and get Louisville at least to 20 wins next year. And when you talk about having an NIL budget of $3 to $4 million to put together a roster, you're going to have a team that's good enough to make this happen.
Well, Rashawn, we're going to see this. I'm hearing different stuff, through the social media rim about this coach here, And somebody was talking about Jeff Walls.
Talking about who?
Jeff Walls being the basketball coach for the men's program, but that's not going to happen anyway. But they were talking about it, and he lost.
Yeah. Women go down today.
And they were talking about firing him, getting rid of him.
Now Jeff Walls ain't going nowhere. Coach Walls, just unfortunately, he ended up having probably his least athletic, slowest team that he's had since he's been a coach at the University of Louisville. So I mean, it was tough.
Now, Jeff Walls. Now you got. I would have loved to see the LSU and Louisville game. I would have
loved to see it too, but you wouldn't have liked the outcome of that game.
Probably been a fight.
It would have been a beatdown. It would have been a beatdown. I mean, but you know what? Coach Walls understood what happened. He understood he didn't have enough talent. I don't think Louisville will ever get caught like that again. I think he's going to go out there. We got Gilbert Arenas' daughter coming in next year. We have Zach Randolph's daughter coming in next year. Got a couple of McDonald's All-Americans that are going to be a part of the team. And I think that was the biggest thing. Like, Louisville had a lot of good side pieces for the women, but they didn't have any alphas. They didn't have a superstar, and I think had they had that superstar player, I think they would have been fine. But they got to have that ace. They got to have that Shoni Schimmel. They got to have that Dana Evans. You got to have that Angel McCautry, that Asia Durr. And that was the thing that was missing. Notice I did not say Haley Van Lith. That was on purpose. No. Haley always thought she was a star. Haley was not a star. She was a really good number 2 to number 3. But
as you see, the young center, 24,000 unthinking people is not there.
Yeah. No,
what's the next move for Louisville basketball?
Louisville,
yeah. Purse, NIL purse. I need a coach now, not.
Louisville needs to make that hire. If the guy is Dusty May and that's going to be the way that they decide to go, then they need to get that hire done. With FAU losing, them being out of it, they need to go ahead and make that move now. They need to go ahead. I need to have Dusty May installed as a new head coach by, say, Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. The reason I say that is the transfer portal is already open. Okay, you have current Louisville players that are already jumping into the portal. You want that new coach to have every opportunity to meet with those guys, talk to them, see who he likes, see who he doesn't like. I think there are some very good pieces that you want to keep. People keep talking about the fact that they expect Sky Clark is going to come back. They expect Brandon Huntley Hatfield is going to come back. That's nice to say.
Okafor put himself in the draft. In the transfer portal.
He could probably go ahead and just stay on in the transfer portal. I'm sorry, man. That was mean. That was mean. But, this coach has to hit the ground running. Louisville has to do a lot of infrastructure building, okay? And that's the biggest thing. We can't do another Kenny Payne gets the job and then stays up in New York playing golf for 2.5, 3 weeks, okay? We can't have that happen this year. The coach needs to get in there. He needs to start getting into the transfer portal, and he needs to start making those connections. The quicker he can do that, the faster he can hit the ground running, the faster Louisville basketball can start to rebuild. Because with the transfer portal open, you can start building your roster. You can see what you have, see what you don't have, and try to, figure out the game plan,
Well, we got to see. Josh got to make a move now.
Yes. No, I'm telling you, Louisville needs to have a coach in the next week. If you don't have a coach by this time next Friday, I feel like you're behind. Unless there's a coach that's still in the tournament and you're going to get him. Let's say there's a coach that's playing in the Elite Eight, but that's your guy and that they're going to make it, that they're going to be the guy and they've said, okay, fine. But if your guy is Dusty May, I'm going to need for that to leak Sunday that Louisville plans to hire Dusty May as their next head coach. I need that news out there. The coach basically at this point, if Dusty May is going to be the coach, even if it's not official until Monday or Tuesday, honestly, Jay, Dusty May needs to be on the phone with those players now. His team is lost, okay? You go in there, you hug it out, everybody has a good cry, and then his next call needs to be Josh, I'm coming. Right. And as soon as he says that, you need to start recruiting that instant. You need to be talking to your players. Jonell Davis, the star for FAU, he's only a junior, okay? So he has an opportunity. He can come with, Dusty May to Louisville if he wants to. That's a, first-team All-American, okay? Jonell Davis is a guy that you would probably want to keep. Vlad Golden, another guy you would possibly want to keep. He's only a junior as well. Elijah Ingram, he's another guy that still has eligibility left. Those types of players, the really good players for FAU, he needs to start having conversations saying, look, John L., you know what? I appreciate everything that we've done together here at FAU. I think that we can even build it brighter and bigger if we go up to Louisville. We'll have more money. You'll have better teammates. We'll have better facilities. Let's go up there and make this thing happen. But that's what Dusty May needs to start doing now.
What else is disappointing as well too is that Jay Wright is on national televised, commentator for college basketball, and he listen, Jay Wright, come on, man.
Now, hey, Jay Wright, look, the two people that everybody keeps talking about, Jay Wright and Brad Stevens. Everybody's want to know, why is Jay Wright, Brad Stevens, or Billy Donovan, what are these guys doing? Why don't they want to come back to college basketball? Look, these dudes are happy. You got to understand, Brad Stevens is a young dude. Brad Stevens is still only like 45 or 46. He's like a super young guy. This guy's already, been in national championship games. He's been a coach in the NBA. Now he's in the front office. You got to understand, Brad Stevens is making a lot of money to go up there and do not that much for the Celtics. He goes out there, makes a couple of trades, makes a couple of roster transactions, and he's making millions. He's not giving that up. Okay. Same thing with Jay Wright. Jay Wright is excited about being on, camera, just talking basketball. He doesn't have to worry about recruiting. He doesn't have to worry about NIL. Those are things that I just don't think, same thing with Billy Donovan. People that say they want Billy Donovan, I'm sorry. I'm not even really about Billy Donovan. He's been out of the game a long time. He don't know nothing about NIL. He doesn't know anything about the way college basketball works now. I think that Billy Donovan, even though he's a much better coach than Kenny Payne, I think that he would have some of the same growing pains because he doesn't understand the way the transfer portal works. He hasn't been on the recruiting trails. He doesn't know who the hot prospects are. He's been in the NBA for the last, when did he leave Florida? 2008, 2009, went to the Thunder. So, he's been out of the game for 15, 16 years. Like, at some point, bro, like, I know everybody that Billy Donovan name brings a lot of nostalgia, but I would be one that I wouldn't want Billy Donovan. Just being honest. Like, I don't think that that's the way that Louisville needs to go when you have a guy that's been out of the college game for 15, 16 years. There's just so much changed since then. You look at that Florida team, with Horford and Noah and all those guys. That was a team that was built over several years. Basically, college basketball now, people that always want to talk about, that it's going to take 3 or 4 years for a rebuild, that's absolute bullcrap. Okay, there are no more rebuilds. Every year is basically a 1-year season. Okay, because players are moving every year. They're able to transfer and play at other schools. So you don't know who you're going to have on your roster from 1 year to the other. Everybody's a one-and-done team. That's why Calipari whining and complaining about having young players. It doesn't matter, dude. Like, everybody has 1-year rentals. You decided to go with a bunch of young guys and you end up getting caught. Who's that on? Whose fault is that? Yeah, it's his own fault.
Coach's fault.
So speaking of Kentucky, and we're of course going to continue to talk about all these dynamics happening with the Louisville coaching search. I'm still very, very interested to see exactly the way this road continues to wind as Louisville figures out what they're going to do with that. I would be remiss if we did not give a shout out to the Golden Grizzlies of Oakland for getting it done. Big Blue goes down in defeat. Jay Has, what did you think about the game? What did you think about what happened last night? And then Coach Calipari's babbling comments afterwards.
I said this team's going to beat Kentucky. They're shooting pretty good, playing hard defense, hard offense on both sides of the ball. But here's the thing that I love about them. They couldn't hit free throws.
No.
And that guy was shooting 20, 25 feet out.
Oh, yeah. No, he was on fire. The guy for Oakland was on fire.
Yes, he was.
But then, I don't know what happened to Reed Shepherd. I don't know if the pressure got to him, but that's the whole thing, right? You get these young guys. That dude was a 6-year veteran for Oakland, okay? And Reed Shepherd's out here looking like a deer in headlights, didn't want to shoot the ball. He was all scared, throwing the ball away, trying to throw alley oops when you down 3 points with the game on the line. Like that's what happens when you get all those freshmen, man.
Oakland's going to beat Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that this was a watershed game for the one and done situation. I think this honestly may be the end of the one and done era. Like as far as going and getting, having a team full of 8, 9, 10 freshmen, 6, 7 All-American freshmen. Like I do think that that's Kentucky losing this game is going to really change the way a lot of people look at the one and done situation. Because you can't win that way anymore. Like I think that there's still a place for very talented freshmen on good teams, but you need to have a team where say you have 3 veterans and then a couple of freshmen that come in to help. A lot like Baylor has. They have Jacoby Walton, superstar freshman. They have Eves Messi, another superstar freshman, but then everybody else experience. You have some experience out there. I mean, because honestly, you think about it. People talk about that Anthony Davis team and the fact they won a championship. They only started 3 freshmen. They had Teague, they had Anthony Davis, they had Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Darius Miller, Jones, those are both, older players. Jones being a sophomore, Miller being a senior. So, you can't win when you're just filling up a team with freshmen. It just doesn't work, especially now in the era of the transfer portal where you can get older guys and you can have junior and senior laden teams every year with the best schools. I mean, it just changes the math of what it means to be successful.
I never heard of Oakland. They're way out of somewhere in the Detroit,
Michigan. Yeah, in the Detroit, Oakland. Michigan area.
Oh, my.
Yeah, Haven said he thought they was Oakland, California. It was like, nah. Nah, they building automobiles in Oakland.
I need to get me an Oakland shirt.
Are you gonna be what they say 8,000 shirts sold? They said Louisville fans last night after Kentucky lost purchased 8,000 Oakland T-shirts. Louisville fans crashed the whole Oakland website. That was the most hilarious thing I'd ever heard, man. Like that was. I mean, the rivalry here, and that's why, man, and I'll say it. I enjoyed Kentucky losing last night. I got a lot of entertainment out of that. I got to laugh. UK post game after they lose the last game of the year is always a very funny radio because the guys are so mad. But I will say this. It's better when Louisville and Kentucky are both really good and playing well. Like when Louisville and Kentucky are playing in the Sweet 16, when Louisville and Kentucky are playing in the Final Four, like that's huge. Right? That's huge for the state. Like, I love it. It's fun. Everybody can talk smack. Like, Louisville fans haven't been able to talk smack for the last couple of years. But I appreciate John Calipari taking care of Card Nation by making sure that Kentucky is flamed out in either the first or the second round the last 3 years. So, while we've been dealing with Chris Mack's foolishness his last year and then 2 years of he who shall not be named, Kenny Payne, when we've been dealing with that, at least John Calipari cares enough about Louisville to, like, lose early. He's like, you know what? Yeah, one win. Yeah, that's right. One postseason victory. That is hilarious. I mean, like, it's unbelievable because Kentucky's had good years. You couldn't have told me that UK could have the National Player of the Year in Oscar Tshiebwe that year, lose, come back, bring back the National Player of the Year, and then lose in the second round of Kansas State. And then you come out, you have Reed Sheppard arguably be better as a freshman than Rex Chapman was at Kentucky. Some people have said that Reed Sheppard was the best freshman to ever play at Kentucky, and they get beat in the first round by Oakland. Like, you can't write that up. Like, but I tell you what, they saved the Sandy. Like, Louisville fans, this is the thing that I've noticed. Louisville fans have been downtrodden and beaten down over the last 3 years, okay? 12-win season with Chris Mack. 4-win season with Kenny Payne year one. 8-win season this year with Kenny Payne. Louisville fans were downtrodden. They didn't want to talk smack. They didn't want to get chesty about their basketball. Let me tell you something. The news of Kenny Payne's firing on whenever that was, Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Kentucky losing in the tournament, Louisville fans are all the way back. They talking smack and everything. Like, they're walking around with their chest puffed out, talking crazy Kentucky fans. Like, I haven't seen Louisville fans be this Chesty in a while. They don't even know who the coach is, but they feel a whole lot better about themselves. Like we back, Jay. We back. I'm excited about it.
So what about the anything about the Sweet 16? Evangel?
Yeah, Evangel Christian. Yeah, the Evangel Christian won, and of course, the powers that be set it up to where the 6th and 7th region teams champions have to play in the second round. So Evangel and Trinity, uh, they got to play each other in the next round. So they're going to end up knocking one of the two out because, of course, you can't have two Louisville teams play in the final ever. But it just always seems to happen that the 6th and 7th region always play within the first two rounds. It's funny how that happens. Isn't that funny how that always seems to happen? It's crazy.
Evangel.
But hey, they look good. Evangel looks good. I mean, Evangel and Trinity, both those teams are really, really good.
That coach cracks me up.
Oh, it's funny, man. It's funny. Hey, but you know what? They're going to represent. I'm excited to see what happens. Even though they did not, Evangel did knock out Holy Cross. But if Evangel did find a way to win, I would say at least my son lost to the champions. And we gave him a hell of a game. It was a 5-point game with three minutes to go, Jay. Holy Cross had him on the ropes. But hey, it fell a little bit short. But I'm proud of the fella. Shout out Holy Cross. You know what I'm saying? I've been working on my son's highlight tape, getting it together. That's gonna be coming out soon. So make sure y'all check it out. Cam Myers 33 on Twitter. He's gonna have his highlight tape coming out. So had to give my son a shout out. He's working hard. But once again, just to reset, we are out here 4521 Bardstown Road. More shenanigans here tonight. Karaoke Friday night is going down. Jay has already promised me he's going to sing some Lou Rawls for everybody tonight. He's going to get it. Talk about some You'll Never Find. So Jay Hass is going to sing for y'all tonight. It's going to be going down. Come out. See Miss Krista. They got the drinks flowing. They got amazing food. The chili dog is absolutely outstanding. So come out here, get a chili dog. You know what I'm saying? Get a nice little base coat before you start hitting up the Buffalo Trace. I'm a bourbon dude, so Buffalo Trace is my drink of choice. But, they got all kinds of good stuff there. So come on out, have some drinks, have some fun, sing some karaoke. It's going to be awesome tonight. Great food, great pizza. The pepperoni pizza. Like, not many sports bars you can get, like, a full pizza pie like that.
But on the back end, we're going to talk about the king. Of course, we don't know who the king is. We're going to talk about the king in NFL. Just got on board with the Ravens, Lamar Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. I love the comments.
Absolutely.
Lamar was talking about
absolutely. Yeah.
Talk about local high school basketball that don't want to overshadow these young people.
Not at all.
There's a lot of local talent in the city, and
a lot of good players. Hey, and let me tell you something. Whoever the new Louisville head coach is, he needs to start looking at some of these local players. Like, there's a lot of these kids that have been getting ignored, honestly. Like Kieran Tilley, the point guard at Evangel, very nice basketball player. Like, I think that Kieran Tilley is good enough to play at a school like Louisville. I think that he's good enough to play and get minutes and be impactful. Like, if they can go out there and give Fabio Basili a scholarship, like Kieran Tilley is twice the player that Fabio was. I'm sorry, period. Oh, well, we ain't gonna talk about that. But like, there's a lot of talent here. Of course, Travis Perry at Lyon County, he's already committed and signed to go to Kentucky. Just an absolute sniper of a shooter. Great Crossing, who's the number one team in the state. They have several very high-level prospects. Jaden Johnson down at Trinity, one of the top 25 sophomores in the nation. 6'8", kind of combo guard forward. So I know there's a lot of talent, man, here. And whoever the coach is, I'm going to need for you to know and understand and go find some of these kids, man.
Like I say, on the back end, we're going to talk about college football. Louisville is
spring practice is back, man. It's going down.
Oh man, I can't wait.
The Tyler Shuck era has begun. They said everybody's Shuck. You know what I'm saying? They didn't put that on a T-shirt. Everybody's Shuck. What y'all think? Look, see, that's branding. Like, I literally just did that on the fly right now, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just came out with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody Shuck had the cardinal bird on it. Hey, T-shirt hooligans, if y'all do that shirt, I want royalties because I know y'all watching. I want royalties, I'm telling you. Like, I just came up with that. I just off the top of the dome.
with Sean Myers, Jay Harris
Maybe
live
the
at
Shuck ones. What do
Boy
you think about
Shenanigans
that?
Bar off of Breckenridge and Bardstown Road.
That's
We're here
right.
live, and we're here to about what 9?
About 9:30.
About
Yeah,
9:30.
we'll be here to at least 9:30. Getting you ready, counting you down until karaoke night. Karaoke night starts between 9:30 and 10. It's an awesome setup. You can come out here if you're one of those people that is nervous to get up and go talk to the DJ to find your song. That's fine. They actually give you scanners where you can scan the barcode, get into CareFund. You can put in your song and your name and never have to get up from your seat. So I mean that's really cool. It's the only place I've ever seen that has that where you can scan the barcode and get signed up. That's awesome. So yeah, you come out here, you get you some food, get you some wings, get ready to do some singing. I of course Jay, I got a couple songs in me. You know what I'm saying? I got to do something. I got to memorialize Kentucky's loss, so maybe I'll do it so hard to say goodbye. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Do a little boys to men, so we can eulogize Kentucky's basketball season.
I guess we're gonna come back in the second half around the corner.
Well, no, I think we're gonna say we only been on for about 30 minutes. You know. You are.
Petro.
Well, how about this? Why don't you go visit there? I'm gonna have a quiet little talk with the people, and then you just come on back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just tell Miss Krista to hook me up with what I do, and me and the people are gonna have a nice little private conversation. How about that? You do that for me? Can you do that for me?
You have to bust me out like that.
All right, I mean, hey, you gotta do what you do, but you know what I'm saying? Y'all know I always keep it real. But honestly, man, like the biggest thing that I'm excited to see when I'm thinking about what's gonna happen with this coaching search, okay? I don't even want to talk about necessarily who it's gonna be. The reason being is that, in my personal opinion, I don't want to say that who it is doesn't matter. What I want to say is I think that there's a lot of good young head coaches out there, whether it be Dusty May, whether it be, whoever, it could be Shaheen Holloway, like we talked about. It could be Shaka Smart. It could be Pat Kelsey, Charleston. I think that what I'm starting to understand and what I'm starting to realize, one of the things that's really changed for me in terms of the Louisville job is it was always coach centric. But honestly, now, especially with the way NIL has changed the game, not that coaching isn't important, because we saw how important coaching was when we watched Kenny Payne. Okay. And when we watch Kenny Payne, we understand that you have to have a coach that knows what he's doing. So that's without a doubt. You have to have an experienced coach, a coach that has a system, a coach that can explain to you what his system is and that can go out there and execute that system with his team. But the one thing you have to understand is with the change to NIL, like it's no longer about the shoe deal. Okay, it's no longer about Adidas. It's no longer about Nike. It's not about Adidas kids versus Nike kids. It's about dollars and cents. Because let me tell you something. You can have a kid on a Nike circuit, but you pay him, let's say, the kid at Miami, we remember what he was offered, what, 300,000 to go down to Miami? That, I don't think, Miami's shoe affiliation had nothing to do with that. He got offered that 300K, he came running. So if you have the money, that's not going to matter, okay? So the thing you want, now, of course, you want the best coach you can get, of course, because the better the coach you get, the better he's going to be able to work with those ingredients. But I think there's a lot of coaches out there. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of great coaches out there. But what the coach at Louisville is going to have that you don't have a lot of places, when you look at fan support, KFC Yum Center, you look at the facilities, and you look at the NIL budget. When I look at this Louisville program, especially with the NIL, Louisville's going to have better NIL for basketball than just about anybody. I think there's probably only 3 or 4 teams that are going to be competing with or at, or above where Louisville's at in terms of overall NIL budget. With that being the case, you're going to be able to put together damn near an all-star squad. At least in terms of, you can get 2 or 3 of the top 10 transfers. So let's say you hold on to Sky Clark. Let's say you hold on to Brandon Huntley Hatfield. I would really love to see Tyler Johnson stay around. I know a lot of people have been on the fence about whether or not Tyler is going to come back. I know Curtis Williams is a guy who put his name in early. A lot of people think that Curtis is not going to come back. I think he's another guy you'd want to keep around. But let's say you can keep those four, okay? And then maybe a J.J. Trainer comes back. You keep those 4 or 5 guys. That leaves you with, what, 8 scholarships? Okay, you have 8 open scholarships. If you're willing to spend, that 3 to 4 million in NIL that they were talking about and that was estimated, you're talking about being able to get probably 3 of the top 10 players out of the transfer portal and then get maybe 4 to 5 top 30 guys outside the top 10. So four to 5 guys in that 11 to 30 range, and then 3 top 10 guys. Let me tell y'all something. If you can do that, and then let's not, forget, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, if you're bringing over FAU's coach, Dusty May, John L. Davis, All-American, Vlad Golden, one of the best centers in college basketball, Elijah Ingram, one of the better versatile guards, okay, you can bring a couple of those guys with what you have coming back. Louisville's going to have a hell of a squad. Like, I'm not talking about a team, let's try to figure out a way to kind of maybe possibly get on the bubble. No, I'm talking about a team that's good enough to be in the top 25. I'm talking about a team that's good enough to be challenging in the ACC year one. I'm talking about a team that's a no-doubt NCAA tournament team. That's the era that we're in. You all have to kind of hang up your whole thoughts about taking a long time for a rebuild or rebuilding being one of those things that happens over an extended period of time. You have to kind of clear that out of your mind because that's not the way college basketball works anymore. Okay, I believe they said the first 2 or 3 days of transfer portal, or at least on the first official day, there was like, I think they said something like 1,000 kids or 2,000 kids, 3,000 kids, something like this, some ridiculous number. There's already like 1,000 plus kids in the portal, like day one. Like, understand, everybody's out there trying to improve their situation, okay? So with that being the case, you're going to be able to go out there. If you have a coach that knows what he's doing, knows what he's looking for, is familiar with the players in the portal, he's going to be able to meticulously put together exactly what he needs to have a successful program. Now, the biggest thing is once you get all those new guys in there, especially at a new school in Louisville, you're going to be necessitated to hopefully bring in a couple of guys from your previous school. That way, I don't see 2 cups in your hand. Why do I not see 2 cups in your hand? That is wild. This dude, what is happening? Okay, anyway. Well, please don't put that next to my computer, sir. I would have to murder you, a slow death. Thank you. Anywho, I am. I'm calling Jay out. Y'all gotta understand. This is Game Day 502. When we get live with it, the gloves come off. But no, like I was saying, the biggest thing is going to be how this coach goes out and is able to get all those guys on the same page. I think one of the biggest problems that Kenny Payne had when he took over at the University of Louisville, he did not know and understand how to prepare his team in the summer, in the offseason. He did not know how to install his defense, install the principles of his offense, get his guys in the best shape possible to play how he wants to play. Literally, the first year that Kenny was here, he had no idea what his guys were doing as far as conditioning. I mean, if you remember back to what he said about Sidney Curry, he talked about Sidney Curry saying, he didn't know why Sidney Curry came in out of shape and overweight. He didn't know what his diet was. Any coach worth his salt knows all of those things. Like the fact that Kenny Payne had no idea what his coach was doing is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's just silly. I mean, it was coaching malpractice. Like, to me, in my personal opinion, I feel like Louisville should have been able to fire Kenny Payne for cause. Honestly, I like to me. Oh, thank you. See, my brother. That's what I'm talking about.
You don't get it.
Nah, I know it's fine. It's all good. I love you, Jay. Thank you, brother. But no, I think that Miss Krista, shout out to you. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. Hey, make sure when y'all come in that y'all say hi to Miss Krista. She's awesome, and tell her that you were listening to the show. You know what I'm saying? And that ask her to make you one of them chili dogs because she does make the best chili dogs in the business. But I'm gonna tell you about this chili dog. You got to have a knife and a fork. You can't pick that joint up and just eat it. I promise. I promise. Like that's without a doubt. Oh yeah, it's got everything on it. It's unbelievable. Onions, jalapeno peppers, chili. It's amazing. But no, the coach has to be able to get the guys prepared in the offseason. Now, Jay, I know you're back with me. I think that, and you can give me your opinion on this, but I think that the ability for the coach to understand what to do to prepare his team in the summertime takes bigger importance now that you have so many new guys, 1-year guys, transfers in, transfers out. You got to be able to take advantage of those 4 or 5 months in the summertime, don't you? I mean, I think that's going to be a bigger part of basketball moving forward. Like, I think that's going to be something, the preparation, the conditioning, getting those teams together, those overseas trips, how Louisville went to, what was that? Where'd they go and take that overseas trip to? Was it I know the women went to Canada last year, but I'm trying to think of where the men went to. Well, not the early season. Like I'm talking about, like in the summertime. It was like in August. The men went somewhere. I can't remember the last foreign trip they went to, but they went down to somewhere. But it was Bahamas or Costa Rica. They went somewhere and played ball. Yeah. But like stuff like that, to be able to get your guys reps is going to start to become hugely important. Like one of the things that I would love to see the NCAA do, I know that they only allow teams to kind of take those foreign trips once every, I think, 4 years, something like that. I would like to see them reduce that to maybe 2, to where teams are able to get out there and do these foreign trips at least every couple of years. Make it to where, these teams play these secret scrimmages where college teams will play each other, but they don't televise it. They don't talk about it. Like, make those more prominent, where you have basically a summer league, kind of like the NBA has the NBA Summer League, and you have all these games. Why not have college basketball summer league? Like, that's inventory. If you're ACC network, SEC network, if you have college basketball summer league and do just like the NBA does, let these teams get their new guys together. They go out there, they play games, so you can start to build that consistency. I think that would be huge.
So what you're saying? I need some Russ Smith, some Peyton.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I like that stuff. Being able to get out there and play. Yes. Yes, I think that's going to be much more important. And I think that the NCAA is going to have to relook at and change the way that they handle the offseason, especially with the transfer portal being such a big part of it now. You got to let these teams get out there and play. Because if you're waiting until, September, October, that's a tough ask. I mean, even the NBA players, NBA teams play games against each other almost 365 days a year. I mean, you literally go from the season, the draft, and then within a month, teams are playing in summer league with all their young players, getting those guys reps before the season starts in October. So with the fact that, these schools and these teams these NBA programs are playing so much, why would that not be the same for college basketball? I know that's kind of a long-term question. I feel like I'm a Bobby Valvano going on one of my rants, but I think that college basketball as an entity needs to start to change. I think it would help everybody, honestly. But no, hey, I do. I think you just got to kind of start to relook at how all these things work.
I've been following Drew Diener, man, and trying to see what's going on and trying to leak some information.
Oh, Drew's been on it. Drew has been on it. He's been leaking all the info. Yeah, that's true. But hey, so let me ask you something, man. Like, just doing a check. I got to do a check on the scores. Let everybody know what's happening, shaking and baking. Right now, we have in the NCAA tournament scores. Who's winning right now? I see over here, over to my left, this big giant TV on the wall. Purdue is up 36-27. So it's a 9-point game for Purdue. I know Purdue fans will not be happy until done with. Duke is in a dogfight with Vermont. Duke is only up 42-37 right now. So the Vermont Catamounts giving them a game. We talked about what's going on with Grambling and Purdue and Charleston. We just talked about Pat Kelsey. Right now, 5-point game, or excuse me, 8-point game. Alabama just hit a three,
So what do you think about
40-32.
Alabama's coach?
Nate Oates, I'm not going to lie to you. I liked Nate Oates more before this year because his team has been just terrible defensively. And even when you have different guys and a different, a different roster, as athletic and big as your team is, as many athletes as Alabama has, you have no excuse for your defense to be that bad. Like, does that make sense? Like, Alabama has so much talent. They have so much talent. Like, there's no chance that they should be this bad defensively. Like, they can score. He's a great offensive coach, but I'm sorry, man. You got that many big, long, athletic dudes. There's no chance they should be that bad, man. Like, that's one thing that I'll say about Nate Oates. Like, I like him. He's a very intelligent, very imaginative offensive coach. But, man, you got to be a better defensive coach. Like, that's the one thing, Jay, for me. Whoever the next coach is, he's got to coach his ass off defensively. Like, that's one of the reasons I know a lot of people don't like Mick Cronin, because they just see him and remember him as the little angry man on Rick Pitino's staff. And then they know that he went up to Cincinnati and was losing to Chris Mack and Xavier. So that's why people kind of are turned off by Mick. But the one thing about Mick Cronin's teams, they tear your ass up on the defensive end. They may not always be the best offensive teams, but great defensively every year. Like, I think they were the number one defense even in the Pac-12 this year. Even with all of the injuries and all the problems that they had, they still ended up first in defense. And I think that's what Louisville has to have. That was the biggest reason that I don't necessarily like Oates. Like, the one thing I saw about FAU today, FAU played a horrible game. They turned the ball over 20-some-odd times. The reason they were still in that game, they played defense. And as long as, Dusty May can bring that defensive mindset, he was a team manager for Bobby Knight. So that's the tree that he came from, is, kind of down the Bobby Knight tree. Watching Coach Knight, what he done. I love Bobby Knight. I'm a huge fan of Bobby Knight. I always have been. But the one thing about the general, he was always going to D your ass up. Yes, his defense was going to be, without question, they were going to play hard. They were going to be structured. And that's one thing I like about Dusty May, is that if you're coming down and that's kind of the lineage of where you come from, I'm okay with that. But, yeah, Nate Oates, man, you got to be better defense. Like, I think Alabama was ranked like 190th defensively, something crazy, like just terrible. I mean, right now that they've pushed out to a 10-point lead with about 3 minutes left in the first half over Charleston. And they can score. I mean, they got 42 points right now with 3 minutes left. I mean, they're on pace to, score another 90 points or so, but you got to get stops. You can't win championships without playing defense. Rick Pitino made a Final Four in 2012, having one of the worst offenses to ever make a Final Four. But why'd they make it? Defense. Like, when you have a great defensive game plan and you get players that buy in on the defensive end, like those Alabama guys, they have the ability to play defense. They just don't play defense. And if you don't have a coach that's demanding his players to play defense and demanding themselves to play and hold themselves accountable to that level, you're not going to make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not. And that's the thing. Oates is not requiring defense of his players. That's why they're bad defensively. It's not like they don't have athletes. It's not like they don't have guys that are big and long and can jump. You know what I'm saying? They just aren't playing defense. That's on the coach. To me, that's a coaching problem. So I'm out on Nate Oates. Like, I'm not really feeling that.
Texas A&M coach.
Buzz Williams. I like Buzz. Like, Buzz is a guy who, he's been around for a while. He was at Marquette, and I remember Buzz at Marquette. I liked him at Marquette. I like Buzz because he always hung around Louisville at a lot of the AAU tournaments, so I got to see him a lot. He's a funny little dude. And, of course, he was at Virginia Tech. He did good at Virginia Tech. Then, took the money at Texas A&M. I like Buzz. I mean, he's a quirky little guy. He's kind of a little odd, but he's a good coach. He's, once again, another guy that I think would do well at Louisville, just because I think that Louisville's going to be able to give you everything. So, Like, if you can't do well with all of the things that Louisville's going to give you, then you're just not that good of a coach. And the fact that Kenny Payne only won 12 games in 2 years, what's that tell you about Kenny Payne as a coach? Horrible. I mean, so I think that's where we're at with it, man. I just think that just all in all, it's going to be very, very interesting to see the way that Louisville goes. But I'm excited about it. Whoever. That's why I said I've not really worried about who it's going to be, because I think one way or the other, I think that Louisville's going to get a quality head coach. I just would like for them to have a defensive mindset. That's going to be the biggest question. Is like, when I dig into those numbers, you know, FAU last year was a top 40 defense. I think they were 37th in team defense. They were top 20 in offense both last year and this year. But this year, that defensive rating dropped down to 109th. So they did backslide. But the reason that I don't hold Dusty May to the same standard that I do Nate Oates is at Alabama. You have a school with all the NIL. You have all these athletes. Alabama's had top 5 recruiting classes. FAU doesn't have top 5 kids. They don't have guys that were highly rated. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows who any of these kids are. So I give Dusty May a pass on the defensive side of it in terms of the numbers, just because they don't have all of those advantages at FAU. And that's the difference. Hold on. I'm going to give you the mic, sir. Hold on. You got to tell everybody your name. You got to tell the people. Hello, Mark. How are you doing? Really? Okay. Really? Okay. At Duquesne. Really? Really? Okay. Yeah. Hey, y'all heard Mark from Louisville. He says the Duquesne coach. I like it. Absolutely. I appreciate that, Mark. Yes, sir. So there we go. We got one. Hey, he's a good coach. Duquesne's got, the fact Duquesne had not made the NCAA tournament. I think this is only their second time making it's the fourth time, but it's the first time that they've made the tournament since like the 60s or something, 50s, something. They had not been to the tournament in a really, really long time. And, they get there, that they've played well this year. That's the whole thing, man. Like, there's so many good coaches right now. There's a lot of good coaches in that 45 to 50-year-old range. Like, there's a lot of good youngish head coaches. So that's why I'm excited. Like, I'm all about it. I'll look into Duquesne. I'll look into what that coach has done. I'm sure his resume is excellent. And that's why with the Louisville job, I always compare it to like a sports car. It's like a high-end sports car. Choose your favorite: Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, Corvette. You like American made. Like Louisville is a high performance sports car. All you got to do is find a guy who knows how to handle that car. You need an experienced driver to handle that car, because if you get somebody who knows how to get the most out of that vehicle, he's going to be a champion. And that's the whole thing. That's why I'm not really worried about who it is. Just get somebody who's of at least a certain level of ability as a coach. And I think that the program can get them the rest of the way. I really do. And I mean, that puts all the pressure on Josh Hurd to make the proper hire, because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to, what Josh does with this hire. That's why I said his job is on the line. If you have another coach that comes out and fails with what you're willing to pay and the NIL boom that they're going to give you to work with, like, if you can't do it with that, man, you're just not that good of a coach. It doesn't mean that you have to be in the Final Four your first year. It doesn't even mean you have to be in the Sweet 16 your first year. But in my opinion, Louisville should be in the NCAA tournament next year with the roster they're going to have, with what they're going to have at their benefits, the fact that they're going to probably bring back Sky Clark and Brandon Huntley Hatfield. That means you have one of the best scoring guards in the ACC and one of the best post players in the ACC coming back next year. So if that's what you're starting with, as well as the NIL budget, I'm sorry, man, you got to make the tournament. I mean, I feel that the team that Louisville had this year was good enough to make the tournament. The roster, I think Kenny Payne had a tournament level roster, at least to be on the bubble. He just horribly mismanaged them, didn't prepare them.
Richie Bettino.
Well, Richard and New Mexico lost today. I like Richard. I know Steve Rummage. Steve loves Richard Pitino. I done heard Steve talk about Richard Pitino 10, 12, 15 times. Um, I like Richard. I don't necessarily think he's shown enough to be a Louisville coach. And I think that if his dad had not been the coach at the University of Louisville, there's no chance in hell his name would even be brought up because everybody loves Rick, and they have familiarity with Richard. I like Mick Cronin is twice the coach that Richard Pitino is. Like he just is. He's done more. He's had more success. He's a better coach. He's proven to be a better coach. So like I don't see how anybody could want Richard Pitino and doesn't want Mick Cronin. I mean, and that's not a shot against Richard Pitino. That's just simply saying, like, literally, like, if how can you choose this dude, over a guy that know's got it done? I mean, Mick Cronin did take UCLA to a Final Four. You know, they've gone to Elite Eights. He's gone to Sweet 16s. He's had success. Like, it's just not even close. What's Richard done except suck at Minnesota? And then he had a decent year here at New Mexico. But I mean, I'm not the like. It's not a shot. Like I think Richard Pitino he's in the group I would say below, like the coaches that we're talking about when we talk about Dusty May and Pat Kelsey and Shaheen Holloway and Shaka Smart. Like all those guys are in this second level. I think Richard Pitino is in that third level. Now the guys at the top level, you talk about John Calipari, you talk about Bruce Pearl, you talk about Kelvin Sampson, like those guys are at the top level. Okay. What's his name? Hurley. Hurley's in that top level. Like those are the guys that are at the very, very top. Okay. Izzo, I don't know where I want to put Coach Izzo. Like everybody always wants to put Coach Izzo up here at the top level. I feel like Coach Izzo might be at the top of the second level. Like, yes, his teams do figure out a way to like be really consistently successful in March, but I just don't know if Izzo can win you a title. He got lucky in 1-1 with Team Cleves. Y'all know that Michigan State team was not supposed to win a championship. Like, I don't know how that team won a championship in 2000. But, like, I just think that Izzo is just really good. And I guess you have to put him in the top because he's been to so many Final Fours. But, like, would you want Tom Izzo as your coach? I wouldn't either. Like, I just personally, I don't think I would want Tom Izzo as my coach. So, like, I think there are levels to it. I just don't think Richard is at that level. So I would put him a little bit further down. And then, like, watching all these games, watching some of these teams that are upset, getting upsets, like the Yale coach. Like, if Yale makes a run, they beat Auburn today. If they go out there, they win a second game, like, I'm not going to be one that's going to overreact and say, okay, he made a run to a Sweet 16. Let's hire this flash in the pan head coach. Like, I don't think Louisville needs to do that. You need to have somebody who's had at least a couple of years of sustained success. Like they don't need to go out there and take a flyer on just whatever is the new hotness. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think you want to do that. I don't think you want to go that way with this job just because, I think that Louisville needs as close to a sure thing as possible. Like, they have to have somebody that will say, you know what, that dude comes here. Louisville's no doubt getting to 19-20 wins next year.
Give me a Jeff Brom.
Exactly. Somebody who's overachieving. Like, I'll take the overachieving head coach that's doing more with less, that just needs an opportunity to play with the coach with the best players. That's why I like Dusty May so much, because he did more with less. He took a roster full of no-names and took them to the Final Four, and then went into a new league.
I'm not really set on him, but I understand what you mean.
But you know what I mean? Like, because, I mean, like, for real. I mean, he goes out there, he beats Tennessee, he beats Memphis, he beats all these known programs and is within a jump shot against San Diego State of going to a championship game. I mean, that's impressive. And to back that up with another tournament run the next year. Now, of course, they did lose today, but he at least got them back, But like I said, with the level of player and the level of athlete that you're coaching, it's a miracle that they're that good anyway.
I was watching Louisville back in the early '80s. They played
Yes.
against Memphis.
Oh
They
yeah.
had the black coach, they had the other white coach, and they had some dogs on that basketball team. And
Dana Kirk.
both of them passed away. And man, I was like, man, look at them. They got dog in there, man. They play hard.
Oh, those old Louisville Memphis State games.
Ooh-wee.
Hey, like that was Mortal Kombat.
Ask you.
Like that was Mortal Kombat back in the '80s, man. Like Memphis State, Louisville, like Louisville, Cincinnati, like those rivalries, like those are huge. Remember Clarence Weatherspoon down in Southern Mississippi?
Pearl Washington.
I'm telling you, man. Like that's what Louisville needs to get back to. Louisville's DNA, y'all, is big city toughness. And when I say big city toughness, that means two things. A, you play with a very physical, aggressive, grimy mentality. But the thing about it is, you do that blue collar work ethic, but you do it with swag. You know what I'm saying? That's city toughness, and that's why they have to have a city tough coach. That's my only worry with Dusty May is he just doesn't fit the profile of a city tough coach. You know who does? Shaheen Holloway. Hey, I'm sorry, y'all. Like, since I heard that Shaheen got an interview, now I'm not saying that Louisville just interviewed him because they want to make sure they get their minority interview out of the way. But like, I can't lie to y'all. I got excited when I heard Shaheen's name. Like, honestly, I may take Shaheen Holloway over Shaka Smart, even though Shaka Smart had that great run with VCU. Like, I think Shaheen is a excellent head coach. Like, Shaheen Holloway is probably the closest to reminding me of what Dan Hurley is up at UConn because he's so aggressive. He's so passionate. The way he gets his players to really dig deep and buy in and play just aggressive. Like, that's the thing about UConn and what Hurley's doing right now. His guys play aggressive and like grimy, but then they also execute to perfection. They're confident, they play loose, but they play smart. I mean, it's great basketball. It's great basketball.
It's 9 o'clock, a little bit after 9, and we got our cocktail so far. So
Yeah, no,
we can powwow out about a few minutes and come back and around the corner. We're gonna talk about NFL. The king is here. King Kong is here.
yeah.
Oh, my
Hey.
Raiders are gonna be something else.
Hey, let me tell you something. King Henry coming on over with what I'm starting to see, as the possibilities that the Ravens are going to add this offseason. Hey, I'm getting excited about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited about what the Ravens is doing. I'm very, very excited to see what this Louisville football program is going to do. And let me tell you something. I've heard from some people. Let me tell y'all something. Everybody's excited about the people that Louisville's already got the number one transfer portal class. But let me advise you, they are not done yet. Okay, understand that Louisville has the best transfer class in all of college football. But from what I've been told, they're still going to bring in at least 5 or 6 more high-level guys. They're basically just waiting until after spring practice ends so Jeff Brom can kind of see what he's got, see if he likes it. Because you all remember, Brom added 2 high-level tackles. They added the big man from Rutgers. They added not Willie Tyler, and then they got the big guy Eric Miller from Purdue. They got the 2 big guys. They got the big guy from Houston. Like, so understand that like Louisville's not done. They're just taking a break. They went in. They got the guys that they think they need. But now they're trying to see exactly where the spots are that they maybe need to fill in. But I'm already hearing good things, Jay. Like the people out at practice, from what I'm hearing, are just the early returns. Like I know that they haven't put on the pads yet, but there's a lot of good reports coming out of football. Like there's a lot of good reports coming out of football. Like I think that everybody's been very happy. Now the one guy who has not really impressed, I'll say, is TJ Capers, the former 5-star linebacker, the number one rated outside linebacker prior to his commitment to Louisville. Because of course he committed to Louisville, and amazingly he dropped from like the number 7 overall player to like 95. But TJ Capers, Ron English, the Louisville defensive coordinator, called out TJ Capers. He was asked about how TJ was coming along, coming off of his knee injury, his surgery, and said that TJ's not getting done what's been asked of him, and that we want more out of him. And I thought that was interesting that Ron English just basically called TJ out. He kind of put him on Front Street. So it'll be interesting.
It's gonna be very interesting when actually Lamar, the Ravens got to sign in a big offensive tackle.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, hey, the Ravens are about to like. I really and truly feel like this is going to be the year after making. They were the number one team in the AFC, home field throughout. They end up, of course, losing in the AFC Championship game to Kansas City. It really feels like this is the year that they're going to put all their eggs in that basket to win a championship. They've already went out there. They got the running back that they wanted. They got King Henry. Now they're just trying to figure out they need to get a couple of playmakers on the outside at wide receiver. And then, got to replace Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen's headed to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That sucks, but they did re-sign Justin Madubuike, the best pass rushing defensive tackle in all of football, especially now that what's his name retired from the Rams. I can't think of that big D tackle, Aaron Donald. And since Aaron Donald retired, with him retiring, Justin Madubuike has officially become the scariest man on the interior defensive line in all the NFL. So they went out there, they signed Madubuike to a new deal, which I think is huge. We'll have to see what they do to replace some of the guys around them, including Patrick Queen. But I think that we're going to see the Ravens be very aggressive. They're going to go out there. They're going to sign some high-level guys because they really and truly feel like next year's the year. Of course, you still have, you signed Lamar to a 7 or 8 year deal. So it's not like this is the last year Lamar's going to be out of town. But I think they feel like you want to get King Henry. This is going to be probably King Henry's last great year running the football, more than likely, because running back production kind of drops off, which is why they only signed him to a 2-year contract. But they're going to really put everything into these next 2 years to try to, help Lamar get over the hump. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. We got the NFL draft coming up. That'll be coming up next month. So those are those finishing touches. Now let me ask you, did you like the fact that the Cincinnati Chicago Bears traded Justin Fields?
I didn't really care.
Like they traded Justin Fields to Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields I believe he was the 3rd pick in the NFL draft. What, 4 years ago? They only got a 6th-round pick for him, Jay. They traded Pittsburgh. They traded Justin Fields to Pittsburgh for like nothing.
Pittsburgh gonna be pretty good.
I mean, they got Russell Wilson. They brought over Justin Fields. They brought in Patrick Queen. I mean, and they were a really good team. They had a great running attack. They got some nice wide receivers.
They got the second-string quarterback for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Hurley.
Yeah, Huntley. No, the Steelers are making moves. I mean, when you talk about that AFC North, when you got the Bengals and you got Joe Burrow coming back, now you got Russ and Fields in Pittsburgh. You still got to deal with Deshaun Watson, and now they got Jameis Winston in Cleveland. And then everything the Ravens have. I mean, the AFC North by far is the best league in all the AFC by far. Like you're gonna have 4 legitimate playoff teams. Like it's gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be just blood sport. Every game is gonna be to the death. Kumite.
I love the Lakers.
Huh?
I love the Lakers.
Hey.
I love what they are doing. They are winning. They're scrappy.
They
win.
Oh, here you go.
Lakers.
Jay, I am just I don't really know how to take what's happening right now in with the NBA. Honestly, like I'm watching the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're playing well. My man Donovan Mitchell's doing big things. Cleveland's in second place in the East. the Celtics to me are like by far the best team in the East. In the West, I have no idea who's good and who's bad. Like from week to week, it changes. Like to me, I feel like Denver is just kind of playing around with everybody. Like the Nuggets are still probably the best team, but you got Kyrie going crazy with the Mavericks. You got the Lakers deciding they want to kind of play half the time. You have the Warriors still hanging around trying to figure out life. Like I don't know. Like my NBA, honestly, I'm probably not gonna really start to jump hard on the NBA until after Derby. Derby time is when we get it pumped. When it gets cracking. We wake up 5:02, main event sports, game day 5:02. You're like, when I know you've already started fielding calls for the Derby, all of the parties and all of the galas and all the dignitaries that want to come out and hang out. I know you've been feeling. How many calls you fielded so far for Derby?
About five.
5 or 6. I mean, I know that they're already. Hey, y'all know. Make sure you check out wakeup502.com. Make sure you check out this man, Jay Has. Check out his Facebook, my Facebook, Rashawn Myers, or Twitter at Rashawn RAASHAAN, because we have so many things upcoming with the Derby.
Best time of the year.
Best time of the year. Shout out to the Silks of the Bluegrass. They are one of the great organizations that has always shown love to us, Main Event Sports. They do so many things. Operation Open Arms. It's just a Down syndrome of Louisville.
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
I asked you this about a month ago.
Yes, sir.
The things that Wake Up 502, Main Event Sports, and myself.
Yes.
For the last 20 years?
Yeah. 20 years.
We've done so much. And people wouldn't believe half the things that we did.
Oh no! I mean, all the things that we've done, to as far as outreach to the city, both in sports and just everywhere, has always been a big part of everything that we do. And I think that I'm excited for it.
It's one of the best times. That's one of the best. I say the best times for me, sitting out there at Freddy's, 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Just having a great time.
Hey, we did a main event after dark. Now let me tell y'all something. Okay, so this is from back in the day. All right. So main event after dark was a show that we would do at Freddy's from time to time, where we would decide to set up. We come out, we do a live show, but like kind of like the title says, when it's after dark, it gets a little rugged and rough. So. It was always a good time. We had fun. We got Evander Holyfield down there. He came down to Freddy's with us and kicked it with us. The champ, 4-time heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. You know what I'm saying? Broke bread with us, hung with us until about 3 in the morning. Like, when we tell you guys that anytime, that's why opportunities to come out tonight, more shenanigans, come out for karaoke night. Like, there's not too many of the media guys that you want to go out and hang out with, but one of the places and folks that you do want to hang out with is the people. Wake Up 502, Main Event Sports, Jay Has, 96.1 FM, 1450 WLOU. That's like what we do. You know what I'm saying? So it's absolutely a party. So there's going to be some opportunities coming up. I know Jay may have some giveaways. Jay may have, some opportunities to attend some of these galas that may be coming up.
Well, I got our passes already taken care of.
He's got, I don't know, he always carries around a prize pack like he's Santa Claus. So he's always got little giveaways or something going on. He just reaches down in his back pocket like, let me see what I got. But I'm telling y'all, like, this right now is when we really start to get into our season. And it's funny because our season literally starts right after the basketball season ends. Like, this is when we really get into it. So all I'm telling you all is stay tuned, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities for big things coming up.
I tell you what, our first was going to be April the 19th.
April 19th. Okay. That's going to be our first gala?
Down Syndrome.
Down Syndrome of Louisville. Awesome organization. We've worked with them for more than 10 years. We've worked with those good folks down there. They're always one of the earliest Derby events and one of the Derby parties that are near and dear to our hearts. It's a great fundraising opportunity. We work with all those good folks. They're always, they'll come on the show, talk about all the good things happening with Down Syndrome of Louisville. It's one of the great opportunities to get out there. When you go to the event, they have their constituency, they're helping out with everything. The selling artwork, playing the piano, doing all kinds of different things, taking pictures and photographs. They always have great entertainment. It's a lot of dancing. It's a lot of food. Get an opportunity to dress up. Everybody likes dressing up for Derby.
You got to correct that.
What's that?
Surf and turf.
Surf and turf, absolutely. I mean, so it's always a great time. So April 19th, you just never. All I'm saying is, you never know when something's gonna pop up. So y'all need to go ahead and lock it in. Send Jay has a Facebook friend request. Send Rashawn. He's got a whole table. Hey, a table of 8. Let me tell y'all something. Any of these Derby Gala events, table ain't cheap. So, stay tuned for that. Make sure you tune in 9 to 11 a.m. 96.1 FM for Wake Up 502. Jay has always calls in with little hints. You know what I'm saying? You got to give us the phrase that pays. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got to.
Philly and Stallions probably the best game.
Oh yeah. Phillies and Stallions. It's always probably the funnest of all our events, just because that's when the party really gets popping. A lot of the sports athletes hang out. A lot of the great, constituency, the Packers. Everybody. Everybody's there. Bam Adebayo. I know we chatted with him. Sage Steele, in NBA. Correspondent. It's just so many folks. Just always a big time. Sage Steele. Yes, I know. Sage was awesome. Just so many. That's the one thing I love about Derby, because we have an opportunity to speak with so many, great people. Cam Hayward of the New Orleans Saints. We talked to them at Unbridled Eve. That's another one that we attend as well. You all always see the interviews. I always post the interviews after we get done. If you go back and you look at last year's interviews, you'll see several of the people that we interviewed. That's going to be the same thing this year. So, don't be surprised, to see more of those. Hey, stay tuned. I'm telling you, if Jay's got a table, we want to have that table full. So, now that don't mean blow up Jay's inbox and jumping in the mentions and jumping in my inbox. Like, we're going to have rules for it. So it'll be coming up. So we're going to let you all know when that's going to happen. But just letting you know that, once March Madness gets here, that means Derby's right around the corner. And, don't nobody do a Derby party like Main Event Sports and Wake Up 502. Hey, I'm telling you, I can't wait.
Drinks are the baddest cognac in the world.
Open bar, good times, great music. Absolutely. But I tell you what, Jay, we got about 13 minutes left in the show, man. So I do want to ask you, just before we get out of here, 2 things that I want to ask you questions on. One centered around University of Louisville, one centered around University of Kentucky. For the hundreds of people that are on the stream right now, a lot of Kentucky fans are upset. Okay, Kentucky flames out. They lose in the first round for the second time in 3 years. St. Peter's 2 years ago. Oakland this year. They want Calipari gone. They want Calipari fired. They want Mitch Barnhart. They said Mitch Barnhart needs to sack up and tell Cal to get his crap and go. A, do you think Mitch Barnhart's going to do that? And B, would that be the move that you would make?
I'm doubtful that the AD will do that, because Coach Cal has a $33 million buyout. And that's a lot of money.
Actually, I think it's 34.
34. That's a lot of money. And the relationship that Barnhart and Coach Cal has, man, I don't think it blemish. I think that he's done enough. He's won a championship.
He's a Hall of Fame coach.
He's won games. He had one and done, went to the NBA. They get back to the university. You got to think about all that. I don't think Coach Cal's going nowhere.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. And I've thought about it, and I listen to post game, even though I always get my laughs at the Kentucky fans getting all mad and getting all upset. And that's funny to kind of listen to. Like, I understand their frustration, because Kentucky fans seem to be like they're stuck, because John Calipari, he took you to the heights. They remember the John Wall and Boogie Cousins team and with Eric Bledsoe and how fun that team was. They
Drake comes
remember
every year.
the 39-0.
Drake comes every year.
Drake comes every year. You got the party. You had the Carl Towns team. You know what I'm saying? You have those great memories. And now it feels like I'm gonna tell you where John Calipari is right now. To me, like Rick Pitino had kind of a lull after his first Final Four with Louisville. Right after that, in 2005, Rick Pitino kind of went into cruise mode. Okay, for about the next 4 years. After he made the Final Four and he felt like he was established, it felt like Rick kind of started to coast. Not necessarily coaching badly, but just very relaxed. He was just kind of chilling. And the only thing that really woke Rick Pitino up out of that kind of glazed over situation was when John Calipari got hired at the University of Kentucky. Once Coach Cal got the job at UK, that lit a fire under Rick Pitino that, you know what, I got to turn this around and I got to step up my game because I'll be damned if John's going to make me look bad, with him at UK and me at Louisville.
Yeah.
And that set a fire. That set a fire under Rick. And, of course, Rick shook out of it and started recruiting the way he needed to recruit, ultimately winning the championship in 2013. But it took John Calipari to motivate Rick Pitino, for Rick Pitino to get it going. Right now, it feels like Coach Calipari is on cruise control.
He's complacent.
He feels very complacent. He feels like he's been at Kentucky a long time. He's done a lot of good things. And he's just not – he's not hungry. He's not hungry no more. You know what I'm saying? He used to just go out there and he'd be on the plains and he would just jump on the deer that came by and just eat the deer. Now he wants somebody to go catch the deer for him, cut his meat up for him so he can go ahead and eat it and chew it. Like he's not hungry. And that's the thing I see with John Calipari is that he's not hungry. He doesn't have that same motivation that he's had previously. And I do think that it's impacted the way he's coached. I don't think he's preparing his teams the same way. I don't think he's putting the same effort into it. And I don't think he's moving with the same aggressiveness level that he has previously. The problem is this. When Louisville needed to move on from their Hall of Fame head coach in Denny Crum was a lot older. Denny Crum was at a well-defined end of his career, going 12-20, having those back-to-back bad seasons. And it was a clear sign that it was the end of Denny's tenure. The problem with what Mitch Barnhart has to deal with at UK is Cal, A, isn't that young, and B, they had a successful season. Both years they were successful. They just happened to lose in the NCAA tournament. So, A, I don't think Calipari is ready to retire. I don't think he's ready for some, severance where Cal starts coming to the games, sitting in the chair like Denny Crum, watching Rick Pitino as he takes over. Like, Cal's not in that mode. Cal still feels like he's got 8 to 10 years left. Yeah, he's still got 5, 8, 10 years left under his belt that he wants to coach. With that being the case, I don't think he's ready to retire. He's going to make Kentucky have to fire him. And I just don't think when you have a guy who became a Hall of Famer under your tenure, and especially the fact that the team is still winning, I just don't think that Mitch Barnhart's going to be able to go out there and fire him. Like, I just don't. Like, I think that his hands are tied, especially considering the fact that he's got this lifetime contract, even though technically the contract runs out in 2029. But, like, I don't think – like, I think that Kentucky's going to be stuck with Calipari. Like, at least until Coach Cal, unless he takes another job, like, let's say the Lakers get rid of Darvin Ham, and the Lakers say, Cal, come on to L.A., come on to the spotlight. We need some of that Coach Cal magic. Like, if that happens and he takes a pro job, that's going to be the only way that Kentucky can get out of this, because I don't think Cal's going to step down, and I don't think Mitch is going to fire him. So unless they can find some kind of happy alternative where he takes a pro job, I don't think it's going to happen. So, I think that's where we're at with the UK job as it stands right now. Like, I don't expect for Kentucky to make a move with him. I think that he'll definitely be back. He's got, another outstanding young class. I know but none of the Kentucky fans want to hear it, but they have a really good freshman class coming in next year as well. Um, and I think that Cal's going to try to bring in some older guys, some grad transfers or some regular transfers to come in and help them out. But I think he's going to at least be here next year because of the recruiting class he's got. With Travis Perry coming in, AJ DeBoncia, and some of these other guys, I think he's definitely going to be back.
Wagner, everybody, Delahan.
Yeah, I think all those guys are gone. I think DJ Wagner's gone. I think Reed Shepard is gone. Shepard's going to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. He and Dillingham are both projected as top 7 picks. If you're a top 10 if you're a top 10 pick in the draft, you can't come back to school. So I do expect those guys to leave. I think Edwards is going to leave. I think Bradshaw is going to leave. Now, I think Big Z could come back. I think he feels like a guy that's going to be back and he's going to be around for a bit. But outside of Big Z, I don't know how many of the other guys are still going to be around. So that's going to be kind of a wait and see on that. But yeah, so I say all that to say, Kentucky fans, y'all might as well just go ahead and get comfortable because Coach Cal's going to be around for at least one more year because I don't anticipate the Lakers coming open this year. Maybe the Knicks. Coach Cal's from up in that area. He previously coached the Nets, so there's a possibility that maybe the Knicks will look to do something like that. But outside of a pro team taking on John Calipari, I don't think he'll be fired. I don't think that he's ready to call it a career yet. So we'll see. Now, before we get out of here, we got about 4 minutes left, Jay has. I want to know, who do you think, do you think Louisville will have a new head coach by the time we get back in here for our next Game Day 502 in the next couple of weeks? And who do you think that coach will be?
It's kind of hard to say right now.
Oh, it's pressure.
Because the AD probably has somebody now, just not mention it. We don't know, but when you were dealing with a lot of money, things are kept really, really tight and quiet.
Well, okay. Well, then I won't say it as who do you think it's going to be. Who would you like to see it be? How about that?
Rick Pitino.
Rick Pitino is not coming back to Louisville. Okay, give me a realistic thing. That's like me saying Jay Wright, like the dude that texts into the show every Saturday morning and says Jay Wright every week. He gives us the Jay Wright text.
Bruce Pearl.
That's who you would like? Hey, you know what?
Or Kevin Sampson.
I like that. I like the Bruce Pearl thing just because with Auburn losing, I would be calling Bruce Pearl to be like, are you sure you want to stay at Auburn? I would give that call. If I'm Josh Hurd, I'm reaching out just saying, are you sure you want to stay at Auburn? I would definitely do that. I would have to play on that. I will say this. Even though I was very excited about the conversations with Shaheen Holloway, even though I would love to see Shaka Smart be a serious consideration, but I think that he's very happy being back home with Marquette. I do think it's going to be Dusty May. Dusty May, just from the way he's responded in interviews, we understand that he was a part of the search for he was part of the search with Ohio State. Ultimately, he turned that down, waiting to hear from Louisville. And, of course, Ohio State went ahead and signed on their interim coach as their full-time head coach. And I know that Michigan has made inquiries into him. That being said, I think Dusty May is going to take the challenge. I don't know if he will, be super excited to take the challenge, but I think he sees the value in Louisville. He understands. He's from the area. He's from Indiana. As we talked about, he was not a ball boy, but he was a grad assistant under Bobby Knight. So he understands what it means to, basketball in this area at Indiana, at Louisville, at Kentucky. So I do think that it's going to be Dusty May. I think Louisville will make that announcement no later than Tuesday of next week. Um, and then it's game on. It's game on. And I think it's going to start quickly. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the next chapter. I'm excited to see where this goes. I think that Louisville's going to have an opportunity to do some great things. But it's. I'm nervous, Jay. I'm nervous, man. We're back in the show. Like I feel like Kenny Payne's been holding us hostage for the last 2 years. So the fact that Louisville's back, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch the rest of these beautiful NCAA March Madness tournaments games on all these great flat screens here and more shenanigans. I'm going to be waiting for some of these great people to come out this way. Once again, 4521 Bardstown Road, right there on the corner of Bardstown and Breckenridge Lane. Would love to see you come out, sing some songs tonight. Karaoke's going to get rolling in about 30 minutes. So that's going to be going down. Listen to Jay sing some Lou Rawls. He's going to get it going down, and it's going to go from there. So for Rashawn Myers, this is for Jay Hass, this is Rashawn Myers. And like we always like to say, without struggle,
there is no progress.
Peace.